Whenever I was in my freshman year, because this is really when it started, I would always just go outside and just start like cycling. I would just go outside. Remember, you got to think I was like a really fat kid, but I was outside just cycling all the time. It was beautiful. I loved cycling. There was even times where I went like 10, 15 miles, like just out there, like because in my own way, it was a way of just kind of avoiding the problems in my life. It was a way of just getting away from like the problems that I had, problems with my family, problems with life in general, the new life I was going to be experiencing, changing from school districts. But it was funny because I ended up getting into an accident. I fell off my bike on like this high hill, and my bike broke, and my hand was all fucked up. It's so funny how I just fell back into that hole because I mean I couldn't bike ride. I was kind of I was fucked up, so I couldn't bike ride. It's funny how whenever this happened, I just stopped. I fell back into that depression. I feel like a lot of us we always try to avoid our problems. We always try to avoid facing our problems. Instead, we always just enjoy just ignoring it. We do this in the form of drugs. We do this in unhealthy habits. We do this in even positive habits. Like I mean, cycling is not bad. It's a pretty good. It's pretty good exercise for you. It helps clear your mind up. Helps you get outside. But the problem with it is that at the end of the day, like my problems were still there. I wasn't solving them. I think this is a misconception that a lot of us have is that if you just include your life with all these good habits, that means that you're gonna your problems are just gonna be fixed. This is the same quote as whenever this is well because we always have this conception that if you do good habits, then your problems will just go away. This isn't really the case. Let's think of the quote from Fight Club where Tyler Durden he says self improvement is masturbation. See, a lot of the times we always try to do like a lot of these self improvement habits to better ourselves, which obviously they do a fairly good job at. But really, a lot of these problems we have, the trauma, the things we face, the problems we face, the humiliation, a lot of the times we do all these self improvement habits, but really, why did we start it? We didn't start it just to ignore these problems. Really, we started it because we wanted to face those problems. We try to avoid facing our problems by getting better. By getting better. What are you getting better for? You didn't just get better just to get better. You got better because you want to go back and face that problem. It's just like how you go and grind in a video game, not because you don't just grind in a video game just because, you feel like it. You normally go grind so you can go back and go beat something with ease. This is a big misconception when it comes to self-improvement. You can be reading, you can be working out, you can be journaling, you can be meditating, you can be doing all these things that all these successful people do. While this does all these things really are kind of traits and skills that a lot of these successful people have. One of the biggest things that they possess is simply being able to face that problem. Instead of using stuff like your trauma, instead of using problems in your family or your friends, use it as fuel. Fuel to better yourself so you can not just go along with life. So you can actually just face these problems because you can't avoid it. You can't avoid these problems. I used to go to the gym just to cope with the fact that I like people made fun of me because I was fat. But the moment that I stopped caring was the moment that actually a lot of those problems went away. I felt terrible about myself. And so I constantly kept trying to fill myself up with working out. Well, yes, working out and feel is going to make you feel better. It's going to make you feel more confident about yourself. Ultimately, it's not going to get rid of that part of you that feels uncomfortable that feels uncomfortable with yourself. Does that it's hard for me to really put it together. But let's imagine you're you're just like me. You're fat. You are unhealthy. You have little to no energy. You you don't feel like moving much at all. Whenever you go on a bit of a run, you start getting tired. And whenever what's the you're in that dark place and you all you're thinking about is the stuff you lack. It's the stuff of feeling good, of having that six pack, of getting the girls, doing all this stuff. But it's whenever you accept the fact that you're in a dark place and you don't want to be in a dark place. That's whenever you actually make the progress. Let me tell you, I was constantly obsessed doing all these different things to try and pretend like I'm healthy, pretend like I have that six pack and stuff. But whenever I started just stop caring, whenever I started stop caring about how people saw me, that's when my progress started to skyrocket. Because I didn't go in there with these crazy expectations. I didn't try. I just did what I wanted to do. I started going to the gym not just because I want to look better, but I just started going to the gym because I love going to the gym. Imagine you could live your life like that, where you're going to the where you're going to the gym not because you have to, but because you want to. Because a lot of the problems that we have when it comes to the self-improvement with maintaining it for the long run, it simply stems from the fact that you look at it like it's your job. Like let's think about it. A lot of these people, like so many people wake up every single morning having to go to a 9 to 5 job and they feel unhappy. You shouldn't be doing these self-improvement habits if they're making you unhappy. I know we talk a lot about discipline and staying consistent with things, but ultimately you need to enjoy the process. Obviously, there's going to be days that you don't want to do stuff, and then you're going to have to make yourself do it. But ultimately, if you are working out for over a year, like consistently and doing all these stuff, and you're not enjoying it, then there's probably something wrong. Because if you're not enjoying what you're doing now, then how can you see yourself continuing to work this way? This belief that's instilled in school so many times is just working, doing this work that you don't care about, so you can get a job that you don't care about, so you can buy things that really you don't care about and you don't need. First Man talks about this. He talks a lot about how you don't want to see your purpose as something that's like your job. It should be something you're genuinely like excited about. A lot of the times our purpose is like multiple layers. It's like an onion. Like with Shrek. uh, You there's so many different layers to it. And each layer, like every time you peel it back, there's another layer. You don't want to see your life as like you don't want to see like meditation as something that is like a job. It's a duty. Like obviously we have a lot of these habit trackers to make sure that we're keeping on track, but don't you shouldn't have this animosity to it. This hatred of whenever you're doing these habits, you don't you genuinely don't feel good about doing them. This is why I tell people like a list of things to do when it comes to self-improvement. But to be honest with you, there's only a few that honestly I do. Like there's going to be things where it's going to help you, but there's also going to be other things that genuinely like you don't feel any better for doing it. Like to be honest with you, when it comes to meditation, while yes, I do meditate, I don't meditate nearly as much as I do stuff like journaling. And reading, I don't like to look at every day like, oh, I have to read 10 pages every single day. I have to do this, that. Well, yes, this is good. A lot of the times you don't want to just be doing like, okay, you understand what I'm talking about. You go to school for 8 hours a day, you do shit that you don't care about. And let's be honest, you ever remember any of that stuff outside of school? Can you remember the stuff that you did in fifth grade that like you genuinely enjoyed? And you don't look back on those times that you did that work you didn't care about, and you don't think, "Oh yeah, I was really happy about that stuff." Normally, most of the time, you really are happy that you're not in that period anymore. I think of my pre-calculus class, for instance. Last year, I cheated in my pre-calculus class on a test. I got caught. Point is that I absolutely hated that class, and to be honest with you, I just genuinely didn't like the class, and I kept trying to make myself believe that I like math, even though in reality I really don't like math. Stop making yourself Stop doing this thing that so many people, including myself, do, where we continuously do these things that we genuinely don't feel that genuinely don't approve ourselves, that we don't enjoy, just because other people say yes. Well, yes, you should be listening to the people who have what you have, what you don't have. But there's gonna be some polarization. You're not gonna like everything that other people are doing. Let's look at somebody like Bill Gates. Bill Gates reads like a book a week. Like that's crazy. Like he reads a book a week, dude. I really doubt that you're gonna be reading a book a week unless you're just so really similar to Bill Gates. And if you tried to, you probably wouldn't enjoy it. You probably wouldn't. In fact, you probably wouldn't get as much knowledge because, dude, you're not built like Bill Gates. He's a different dude. We gotta stop looking at this like we gotta stop like being these carbon copies of people because let's think about it. For one person, maybe a 9 to 5 job really is the way that they want to live their life. But that isn't everybody. We gotta stop having this belief, like I said, that we have to do all of these habits. Let me tell you, to be completely honest with you, the only things in self improvement that I honestly do on a day to day basis is working out, reading, journaling, and then cold showers. I when it comes to meditation, I normally just do breath work and I do NSDR or Yoga Nidra, which is only about 10 minutes. I'm not one of those people who's going to tell you meditate for 30 minutes a day. Dude, meditation is wonderful. I love meditation. I used to meditate 30 minutes a day. But to be honest with you, I don't need meditation for 30 minutes a day. And I feel like if I forced myself to do that 30 minutes a day, it probably wouldn't benefit me that much. You know what? There might be a period of time where I want to meditate for 30 minutes a day. But as of right now, I don't feel like I need to meditate for 30 minutes a day. Your life is going to change. There's going to be moments where taking a cold shower is going to be conducive and it's going to be something that's going to be really great for you. There's going to be other times where, to be honest, you're better off not taking a cold shower. That's how life is. It's constantly changing. And with you feeling as though you don't want to change and you feel like this mentality goes with like working out, for instance. A lot of the times we want to stick to that one routine for like an excessive amount of time, which I always tell people to like have some faith and stay with your workouts. But ultimately, there's going to be parts, and I just did this a few moments ago of me journaling, talking about moving forward, what I'm going to change about my workouts. You should be innovative. You should start just talking more about what you want to change because ultimately change has to occur. Like I said, there was times in my life where I used to meditate out like almost all day, and there's other times where all I did was just meditate like 5 minutes a day. Your life is going to change, and the demand for the things you need to get the goals that you want is going to change. I think a lot of the times, a lot of our problems, a lot of the depression and anxiety we experience, because let's think about it. Our grandparents and great grandparents, they didn't live in a time where there was a lot of social media. There was a lot of there was iPhones. There was like the internet was really big. I we lived in a time where they lived in a time where if they messed up, dude, they understood that okay, that's life. It sucks, but I have to go back and go back on the horse. I have to go back and go go back and start shoveling hay. But nowadays, whenever you are feeling terrible and you feel like a failure because you're not as big as you didn't reach that goal that you had about how big you wanted to be, or you didn't meditate every single day like you said you were going to, all of a sudden you see all these successful people on social media who have everything you want and they have like a big smile on their face because they have what you don't. I hope you understand what I'm putting down. It's so much easier to be upset at ourselves of the things we don't have, even though in reality we live in a time where we have plentiful things that like the people before us didn't have. I mean, let's think about it. If you're living in a first world country, most of the time you get upset at problems that like in reality really don't matter. You get upset because someone made your order wrong. Somebody somebody yells at you for something stupid. You get mad because so and so said this about you. Dude, back in the day, people had actual problems. There was illness going around, there was war, there was killing. There was all these things that were going on years before. We live in a time where, to be honest with you, like, we don't live in a time where it's a battle against wars and illness and all these genuine problems. We live in a time of like spiritual, like a lack in spirituality. It's a war against spirituality. For most of us, you can sustain off of a 9 to 5. You may be living paycheck to paycheck, but bro, you're not living on the streets. You're making enough to get by and to get that stupid shit that you don't need. That new couch, that new car. So don't make this problem that a lot of people make, like including myself, like I said, where I felt like I had to do every single thing every single day. Dude, the moment that your the moment that your habits become like chores, and every single day it's almost like you have to drag yourself to do it. Like obviously, like I said, there's going to be some days you don't feel like it. Like obviously there's some days I don't feel like going to the gym, obviously, but that's not every single day. The moment that you basically have to drag yourself out of bed to go do something, obviously this thing of discipline is really good, but in reality it's not sustainable. There's a much better way of looking at this, and that is to actually enjoy the process. Sometimes I just change my workouts just because I get kind of tired of doing the same thing. I've changed from weightlifting to calisthenics to now weightlifting again. I went from only running for a period of time, to then now I just weightlift only. Because sometimes I just get tired of doing the same thing for such a long time. I know this is going to sound crazy if you've watched other videos that I've made, but to be honest with you, it's something that you're going to learn more after probably your first year of doing stuff, is that walking around believing that doing the same habits every single day, regardless if you don't like it, is a good thing. It's good to a certain point, but once it gets past to this point where it's almost like a job, like you understand why are all these people so unhappy for these 9 to 5 jobs if they're being paid a decent amount of money? Because they don't like it. You go to school and I mean, you get free food. People basically take care of you for a period of time. You get to sit with air conditioning. We don't like it. And like I said, school really shelters us to do this work that we don't care about. Like, okay, let's think about it. When you're working out, you feel good when you work out. You feel pretty damn good when you work out. But versus like a day in school, normally you don't feel good. You normally don't feel good unless like you genuinely love the classes you're taking and you love the people you're around. Then I understand that. But don't for a lot of us, including myself, I go to school and it's just really draining. And honestly, it's hard to do habits whenever you're in school all the time and you're always doing these stuff. Like I go to school every single day and I really just don't enjoy the stuff I do, to be honest with you. That's how it's always been for most of my entire life. It's me going to school, doing stuff I don't care about. And to be honest with you, it's led me to a lot of times wanting to go to college to get a job. To be honest with you, I don't really care too much about. It's always just this vague idea of co- of something being out there, of happiness being out there. There's this saying that whenever we keep searching for I think Albert Camus said this, that whenever we keep searching for what happiness consists of, that's whenever we're the most unhappy. Whenever we're constantly looking for the meaning of life, that's whenever we're so unhappy. You can probably relate to what I'm saying, because to be honest with you, this happens to so many of us, is that we spend so much time trying to find the meaning of life, doing all these things we don't care about. There's going to be resistance, obviously. But the moment that the stuff that you're doing becomes like a job, like obviously for entrepreneurs, their job is their passion. And this is different from somebody who works a job like a 9 to 5 job that honestly they don't care about. And I'm saying this and I'm 17 and I'm still figuring out what exactly I want to do, what exactly I want to accomplish. It's a working progress. And although there's only so much I can do now, I'm working towards it. I'm working towards my way of actually feeling happy about what I do. It really bothers me the idea of working a job I don't care about. And then after years of working and being taxed the hell out of the government, I'll retire, but I won't be able to give my kids or my grandchildren anything. That bothers me. I won't be able to give my parents anything. That bothers me. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with working a job just to work it, but I can't actually give back anything to my family. That's a genuine concern that I have. People talk all the time about how they want to live like this lavish lifestyle of always having like being at like this top having like these top chefs and having like these all these cars and these houses and stuff and like all of these like materialistic things. To be honest with you, bro, the thing that really bothers me the most is one day when I am a grown man, when I am a grown adult person and I am working, but what I'm working on, I don't have enough money to give back to my family. That honestly bothers me. For all the things that my family has done for me and I can't give back to them, your family, for the most part, tries to aid you in giving you all the resources you need to become financially free to make enough money. And the idea of me not being able to do that and just living in this rat race that my parents did and not being able to free them out of this rat race, that bothers me. It bothers me imagining my brothers and my sister staying in this hole. That bothers me. We live in a decent area. Like South Carolina isn't awful, but it's not exceptional. But it's the idea of just staying here, to be honest with you, not being able to move away. You really should just start genuinely doing the work that you honestly feel like is going to have impact on you. If working out is the only thing out of of these habits that really makes you feel like you're working towards your purpose, then dude, go for it. I make these videos for the stuff that I do and for the experiences I have. You don't need to implement every single thing that I'm doing. If you decide to meditate every single day, because you've seen these videos on YouTube of these guys meditating every single day and they don't really feel anything. They haven't really improved themselves. Well, there's other people who they've meditated every single day and they basically just had this the complete 180 change. If meditating is the only thing that you've done that genuinely has massively improved your life and that you actually enjoy and you're passionate about, then go for it. I encourage you to look beyond just self improvement, but rather defining who you are. And yes, a lot of the times, like these self improvement habits, these pillars, working out, meditating, reading, writing, all of these stuff, most of the time they lead you toward it. But you don't want to just include them randomly, doing it every single day if you don't feel any enjoyment from it. Like my habit tracker list used to be so long, dude. It used to be like it used to be reading, meditating, visualization, um, reading, meditating, visualization, journaling, cold shower. What was it? Studying Spanish, deep work. Like you understand what I mean? You're doing all this stuff, but to be honest with you, like there's only about three of them that I actually enjoyed. The rest of them were just things. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, I have to fill up my day, dude. Most of the time, you can find something with the three things that you enjoy that you can do. Maybe one of them is to work out, go on a walk. If you have like 30 minutes to spare where you have nothing to do, go on a walk, go on a run. If it's if it's reading, then read a page, listen to a book, watch a podcast. If it's meditating, like I said, you can also go on a walk. You'll find that less is more with all aspects. I always talk about this, that less is more. In reality, with the trajectory and like the goals I have in life, there's really only about three right now. It's my health, my business, and then my family. And then you start to understand like the more you actually start to look at like the things in front of you, the more you understand that they're all kind of connected. Like my health helps me to perform better in my business, and my business helps me. The business helps me provide for my family, and then my family, I can help improve their health, and I can better like hold myself accountable. And then business, the stuff that I'm doing of helping people, this can improve my accountability of staying in shape. You understand what I'm saying? Like they all kind of come together. That's all I have for you, man.